All right, welcome back. Hopefully you had some good discussions in your breakout rooms. Jim and I had some good discussions, and so please put in your vote whether you think this acquisition will help Chef Yourself, hurt Chef Yourself, or has no impact at all. And so let's talk a little bit about what the acquisition was. I talked about this in a previous Hangout, another course, but everyone knows Amazon, massive online retailer, and they acquired a company called Whole Foods, which is an upscale grocery store, mainly in urban areas. They have about 400 or so stores, I think, across the US, and they have about a 1.2 market share, as opposed to, say, Walmart, the leader, has about 10x that, 15% of the market share. But this caused a lot of disruption in the market, especially in the stock exchange. The price of a lot of Whole Foods stock price went up, right? Amazon's, I think, went down, and a lot of other retailers in the area, grocery stores, went way down initially. And so, Jim, what do you think the impact will be?
Well, first,
on Chef Yourself, okay, the fictional company.
So I'm not certain that there's going to be any impact. I think what the market reaction that you described, Chris, is probably an overreaction and anticipation that Amazon is now going to crush all the competitors in this domain. But if you look at this critically, we can understand that Whole Foods has not been very profitable of late. Their stock price is way down for that reason. In fact, the acquisition only brings them up to their stock price where it was in 2013.
And in fact, if you look at what a multiplier is called, the amount they offered versus compare that to the revenue, their annual revenue, it's below 1. They paid less than 1x.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is not so good.
Yeah, so they bought a system that is not delivering effectively, and we believe that Amazon has effective delivery systems. We don't know if they are profitable though, because we know we can get what we order from Amazon when we want it, but we don't know whether they're making money on that, because, well, as we were discussing, a lot of the money that Amazon's making is coming from their web services. So it's not really clear. I don't think there's any evidence that would suggest this is going to be a profitable venture for them. So if you take that on the surface, then you'd say, well, where's there evidence that would suggest that this is going to hurt Chef Yourself? And I don't see that immediately, certainly, and I'm not sure I see that in the future.
So one of the big strategies for you guys outside the U.S. you might not be aware of, what a lot of grocery stores are doing now, because anyone who's in that industry, the margins are razor thin, 1%, 2%. They're really tiny. And so what a lot of these grocery stores are doing is they're doing more prepared foods, and that's where they can make their margins. And so they make meals, so it's a grab and go kind of thing. And so Whole Foods does this. So that piece of the market could hurt Chef Yourself, because essentially Chef Yourself is something like that. It's partially preparing the meal. So maybe if they go into that, it seems like they're all kind of chasing the same thing. Because if you look at what Chef Yourself is doing, they're in between pricing of going out to eat and buying raw ingredients yourself. It's more than that, but it's less than going out to eat. And so they're trying to find that middle market. If the grocery stores kind of move that up a little bit, they're kind of squeezing the market. So it's kind of a question. I would say it's having Amazon come in, everyone's waving their arms around. I don't know. I don't think it's going to change the long-term trends. Let me see what some of you guys said. Breakout Team 1 said it will help. Coming in, it will help Chef Yourself. But they said it was a close vote. Eric says if Amazon decides to enter Chef Yourself's market, I will definitely hurt them. I think that should be it will definitely hurt them, right? I assume Eric's going to come out after Amazon. I'm going to hurt you. Breakout 5 said it'll probably hurt them, but it's not clear. You guys are all hedging your bets here. I don't think it will crush. Mark Gregorio says, I don't think it'll crush the competition, but it's drawing attention to online food experience. And a company like Chef Yourself could leverage this to help grow their business. So interestingly, there's a company called Blue Apron, and Blue Apron has an IPO scheduled for this week. Blue Apron is essentially the company I modeled Chef Yourself on. And you can go and look under Blue Apron, and you can find a bunch of their financials. What I encourage you to do, if you're interested in this at all, go and Google Blue Apron IPO, prospectus. And so it'll give you this briefing, it'll give you their financials, and you'll find a lot of the challenges that they're facing are the exact same ones that we outlined in Chef Yourself. And so if you've never done an IPO or looked at a financial statement, one of the things they have to do is give risk factors. And these risk factors are those things that they let the potential investors know, things that could potentially hurt us, plus and minus, to be honest, but usually they're negative. And so as I looked through, I highlighted some of these. They had about a couple dozen, but most of them dealt with supply chain. And so some highlights, they said we need to make sure of some of the risks. Forecasting our revenues and planning our operating expenses is a risk. Managing our rapid growth in our personnel and operations. Scaling our supply chain while avoiding material disruptions or adverse incidents. Maintaining relationships with our existing suppliers and secure relationships with new suppliers to supply quality ingredients in our product offerings. To be able to scale and adapt our supply chain, production, operations, and expenses, including marketing expenses in response to customer demand and seasonal trends. And they go on. But a lot of the things that we highlighted in the case, they're hitting Blue Apron head on, and they're the exact same risks that they're facing. They're growing from a company that grew, we just looked at the analysis, 10x in 2 years, and now they're kind of stabling off. How can they continue that growth?
But I think if you look at their financials, and I don't know if these prospectus breaks the SG&A or sales general administration expenses out and to show the delivery expenses, but you can see those growing significantly. And I think that is a reflection of the delivery challenge. Also, probably an enormous amount of money they're spending on marketing to get the uptake in the product, which I think just goes back to this comment that I think was a Mike Gregorio made, which was to say that the attentions may help the business. I mean, that, any ink is good ink is what they say. So in this case, it brought the acquisition would bring attention to the industry, and that could provide some boost to the lift to the sales.
Yeah, one thing we didn't do in the case, we had a chief marketing officer, and she was talking about promotions. We didn't talk about retention, and maybe we should add that. But the biggest challenge that a lot of these companies have is to break through the clutter, and they have to pay a lot for that new client. And then what they're finding is that if someone comes on as a customer, they don't stay forever. There's a life cycle to them, so they constantly have to keep refreshing the pump, right, and bringing in new people at the front of the funnel. And that marketing expense, if you look at Blue Apron's offering, it went 10x. It went tremendously up because it takes a lot to reach more and more people. So that's a challenge that you're facing on the front end that we didn't really talk about too much in our case, but it's something that is really of a practical concern. All right, any last comments coming in? All right, then I think we had one from Azami. I think it'll help Chef Yourself in the short term. They may benefit from their fulfillment centers. I don't think Chef Yourself or Blue Apron will be using Amazon's fulfillment centers from this. It's almost that they're coming in as a competitor. And then maybe if I did that continuum from eating out in restaurants versus raw ingredients, they're coming in on this end. And so Chef Yourself is kind of in the middle and kind of on this higher end. So it's a question whether they're going to really have an impact. Maybe they'll start doing prepared meal delivery. I mean, it's a crowded marketplace right now in the United States. There's at least, there's Purple Carrot, there's Tara's Kitchen, there's Amazon Fresh. Do they do meals? There's a handful of these that are out there. And so trying to break through that clutter is a challenge, especially getting away from the urban environments. Because as you guys who took SE0X know, you need density for local delivery. And that's what kills you if you don't have it. You need to have density to make that work. All right, let's wrap this up. And the last thing I want to do is remind you on Wednesday, the 28th of June, this coming Wednesday at 1500 UTC, the final exam will be released. It's due in 1 week. Just like everything else, remember, it's graded assignment. It's for grade, so no collaboration, no sharing. You do it yourself. It's a timed exam, and they get, Sergio, how many hours?
4 hours.
4 hours to complete. Sergio did it in 15 minutes, right? But he's smart. But we give you 4 hours. Once you start, you have 4 hours to finish it. Good luck, guys, and I'll see you next time.